There are roads in this world that don't appear on any map. Roads that only exist at certain times. Roads that lead to places you can never leave. Welcome back to the Whisper Files. I'm your host, and today we're opening a new case. 5 drivers, 5 roads, 5 journeys that should have been simple, but became nightmares. We trust roads. We follow them without question. GPS tells us where to go, and we go. Signs point us forward, and we follow. But what happens when the road decides where you're going? What happens when you can't turn back? The stories you're about to hear involve real highways, real routes, real stretches of asphalt. But somewhere along the way, these roads stopped following the rules of reality, and the people who drove them, some of them never found their way back. Turn off your lights, start your engine, and remember, sometimes the road you're on isn't taking you where you think you're going. Number 5. Interstate 476, the endless exit. Chris Anderson was driving home from a business conference in Philadelphia on October 14, 2023. 38 years old, sales manager, he'd made this drive dozens of times. Simple route, I-476 South, exit at Norristown, 15 minutes to his house. It was 11:47 p.m. when he entered the highway. Light traffic, clear night. Chris put on a podcast and settled in for the short drive. At 11:52 p.m., he saw his exit approaching. Exit 20, Norristown. Right on schedule. He moved into the right lane. But as he got closer, something felt wrong. The exit sign looked off. The letters were slightly different. The font wasn't quite right, but it was dark, and Chris was tired. He took the exit. The ramp curved around as it should. But instead of leading to Norristown streets, it curved back. Onto the highway, heading south again. What the hell? Chris muttered. He must have missed a turn. He'd just take the exit again. 5 minutes later, exit 20 appeared. Same sign, same configuration. Chris took it again. The ramp curved and deposited him back onto I-476 South. Okay, this is weird, Chris said to himself. He tried to stay calm. Maybe he was confused. Maybe it was a different exit. He checked his GPS. The GPS showed him on I-476 approaching exit 20. Like the first 2 exits never happened. Chris decided to pay close attention this time. He took the exit again. Watched carefully. The ramp definitely curved back to the highway. There was no other option. No streets, no intersections. Just the ramp, curving back. He tried taking a different exit. Exit 19. Same thing. The ramp curved back to the highway. Exit 21. Same result. Every exit he took led back to I-476 South, like the highway wouldn't let him leave. By 12:47 a.m., Chris had tried every exit for a 15-mile stretch. All of them returned him to the highway, and now he was noticing something else. He wasn't seeing any other cars. The highway was completely empty. At 1:15 a.m., Chris tried something desperate. He stopped his car, right in the middle lane, just stopped, put it in park, got out. The highway stretched ahead and behind him, identical in both directions. Same lights, same lines, same exits in the distance, but something was wrong with the perspective. The road seemed to curve upwards slightly, like he was inside a cylinder. Chris got back in his car, tried to turn around, drive north instead of south, but when he completed the U-turn he was still heading south. The road wouldn't let him go north. No matter which direction he pointed his car, he was always heading south. At 2:33 a.m., Chris's phone rang. His wife. "Where are you? You should have been home 2 hours ago." "I'm trying to get off the highway," Chris said. "Something's wrong. I can't find an exit that actually exits." "What do you mean? Just take exit 20, like you always do." "I've taken exit 20 15 times. It doesn't go anywhere. It just puts me back on the highway." His wife thought he was having a breakdown, told him to pull over and call 911. Chris tried to explain, but she didn't understand. No one could understand. At 3:47 a.m., Chris noticed his gas gauge. It hadn't moved. He'd been driving for 4 hours, but his gas tank was still showing 3/4 full. The miles on his odometer weren't changing either. He was moving, but he wasn't going anywhere. At 4:15 a.m., Chris saw something that made his blood run cold. Up ahead, in the distance, there was a car, stopped in the middle lane. As he got closer, he could see someone standing outside the car. A man, looking around in confusion. Chris slowed down. The man turned to look at him, and Chris saw the man's face. It was his own face, an exact copy, looking back at him with the same confused expression. Chris sped past, looked in his rearview mirror. The other Chris was getting into the other car, starting to drive, following him. Every exit Chris had taken, every loop he'd completed, had left a copy of himself on the highway. And now they were all driving, all trying to find a way out, all failing. At 5:47 a.m., Chris's phone died. A few minutes later, the sun should have risen, but it didn't. The highway stayed dark, perpetual night, perpetual driving. At 6:52 a.m., Chris passed another copy of himself, then another, then another. The highway was filling up with versions of Chris Anderson, all trapped in the same loop. At 8:33 a.m., Chris tried one more time to exit. Exit 20. But this time, when he took the ramp, something different happened. The ramp curved, 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 and then straightened. He was on a street. A real street. Norristown. Chris nearly cried with relief. He drove straight home, pulled into his driveway at 8:47 a.m. His wife opened the door, looked at him strangely. "Chris, what are you doing here?" "What do you mean? I live here." "No. Chris is inside. He got home an hour ago. He said he got lost on the highway, but he's home now. Who are you?" Chris pushed past her, went inside. And there, sitting at the kitchen table, eating breakfast, was himself. Another Chris, looking exactly like him, wearing the same clothes, having the same memories. The other Chris looked up. "Who the hell are you?" They both called the police. Both insisted they were the real Chris Anderson. Same fingerprints, same DNA. Both had memories of the conference, the drive, the loop. Both had finally escaped. The police couldn't explain it. Both men were identical. Both were somehow equally real. But here's what terrifies the real Chris, or the Chris who thinks he's real. His wife chose the other one, the Chris who arrived first, the Chris who seemed less traumatized, the Chris who didn't talk about copies and loops and highways that don't let you leave. The Chris telling this story lives alone now, in a different town, and he still drives I-476 sometimes, at night, looking for the loop, looking for proof that it happened, looking for all the other versions of himself that might still be trapped there. And sometimes, late at night, he sees himself, driving past, in identical cars, all of them looking for the same exit, all of them trying to get home. But only one Chris can be home. The rest are still driving, still looping, still trying to find the exit that actually leads somewhere. And on certain nights when you drive I-476 south between 11 p.m. and midnight, you might see something strange. Multiple cars, same make, same model, same driver, all taking exit 20, over and over and over, all of them trying to get home, none of them knowing if they're the real one. Number 4. Route 66, the woman in white. Before you ask, yes, there really is a Route 66, or there was. It's been renamed now. U.S. Route 491. They changed the name in 2003 because of the stories, because of the accidents, because of the woman. The story takes place in 2002, 1 year before they changed the name. Marcus Webb was driving Route 66 from Gallup, New Mexico to Cortez, Colorado. 41 years old, truck driver, he'd driven this route hundreds of times. It was 2:17 a.m. on November 3, 2002. The road was empty, dark, just Marcus and the desert, his headlights cutting through the night. He was listening to late-night radio, staying alert when he saw her, A woman, standing on the side of the road, wearing a white dress, thumb out, hitchhiking. Marcus's first thought was, what is she doing out here? The nearest town was 20 miles back. There was nothing out here, no houses, no gas stations, just desert and darkness. But she looked desperate. And Marcus was a good person. He slowed down, pulled over. The woman approached his truck. She was beautiful, but something about her was off. Her dress was too clean, too white, like it was glowing in the darkness. "Need a ride?" Marcus called through the window. She smiled. "Yes, please. I need to get to Cortez. My car broke down." Marcus looked around. No broken-down car. No car at all. But maybe she'd walked from far away. He unlocked the door. She climbed in, sat in the passenger seat. Up close, Marcus could see she was young, maybe 25, pale skin, dark hair, beautiful but cold. She smelled like rain, even though it hadn't rained in weeks. "Thank you," she said. "You're very kind. Not many people stop on this road anymore." "Well, can't leave someone stranded in the desert," Marcus said, pulling back onto the road. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Then the woman spoke. "Do you know what road this is?" "Route 66, Marcus said. She smiled. "The Devil's Highway, that's what they call it. Do you believe in the devil, Marcus?" He hadn't told her his name. "How do you know my name?" "I know lots of things," she said softly. "I know you're divorced. I know you have 2 children you haven't seen in 3 years. I know you think about them every day. Wonder if they remember you." Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Who are you?" "I'm someone who's been on this road a very long time," she said, "waiting for people like you, good people. People who stop when they shouldn't. People who help when they should drive past." "What are you talking about?" She turned to look at him, and her eyes were wrong, completely black. No whites, no pupils, just black. "This road takes things, Marcus. It's been taking things for a very long time. That's why they call it the Devil's Highway. And I'm what it takes. I've been here since 1952. That's when my car broke down. That's when I died. Right here, on this stretch of road." Marcus tried to pull over, to make her get out, but his body wouldn't obey. His hands stayed on the wheel. His foot stayed on the gas. He was still driving. "You can't stop now," she said. "Once you pick me up, you have to take me where I want to go. Those are the rules." "Where do you want to go?" She smiled wider. Her teeth were too white, too many of them. "The same place everyone goes, the end of the road." Marcus tried to scream. Couldn't. Tried to open his door. Couldn't. He was trapped in his own body, forced to keep driving while this thing sat next to him, smiling. "You're wondering what happens at the end of the road," she said. "Everyone wonders. Some people fight it. Some people accept it. But everyone ends up there. Everyone who picks me up." The highway stretched ahead, but it was changing. The lines were fading. The desert was getting darker. The sky was turning red. "This isn't real," Marcus whispered. "Of course it's real. It's just a different real. The road has layers, Marcus. Most people only see the top layer, but when you pick me up, you go deeper, down to where the road really goes, down to where it's always been going." The truck's speedometer was climbing. 70. 80. 90. Marcus wasn't accelerating, but the truck was speeding up. The landscape outside was blurring. The red sky was getting brighter. "I want to show you something," the woman said. She pointed ahead. "Look." In the distance, Marcus could see something. A massive pile. As they got closer, he realized what it was. Cars, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, wrecked, crushed, piled on top of each other. All of them had stopped at the end of this road. All of them had picked up a woman in white. "That's where you're going," she said. "That's where I take everyone. The end of Route 666, the place where the devil collects his toll." Marcus found his voice. "Please, I have children. I need to see them again." She tilted her head. Everyone has someone they need to see. Everyone has something they left unfinished. But the road doesn't care. The road always collects. They were getting closer to the pile. Marcus could see other drivers, trapped in their cars, screaming, trying to escape. But the cars were fused together, melted, merged into one massive monument to everyone who'd ever shown kindness on the Devil's Highway. "Please," Marcus begged, "I'll do anything." The woman considered. "There is one way out. One way I've seen work exactly once in 50 years. You have to make me leave. You have to say something, do something, that makes me want to get out of this truck. But I've heard every plea, every bargain, every prayer. What could you possibly say that I haven't heard before?" Marcus thought desperately. What could make a ghost leave? What could convince a demon to let him go? Then he remembered something his daughter had said the last time he saw her, 3 years ago, right before he left, right before the divorce. "I forgive you," Marcus said. The woman stopped smiling. "What?" "I forgive you. For dying. For being trapped here. For having to do this. I forgive you." The truck started slowing down. The woman was staring at him. Her black eyes were changing, becoming human again. Brown eyes. Human eyes. Confused eyes. "No one's ever," she whispered, "no one's ever forgiven me. They beg, they bargain, they curse, but no one ever. Why would you forgive me?" "Because you didn't choose this," Marcus said. "You're a victim too, and someone needs to forgive you. Someone needs to let you go." The woman started crying, real tears, human tears, and as she cried, she started fading, becoming translucent. The truck was slowing down. Marcus could move again. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for seeing me, for seeing past what I became, for remembering I was human once." She faded completely, and Marcus was alone in his truck, on regular Route 66. No red sky, no pile of cars, just the normal desert highway. He looked at his clock, 2:23 a.m. Only 6 minutes had passed, but it felt like hours. Marcus pulled over, called his ex-wife. It was late, but he didn't care. When she answered, angry at being woken up, he said, "I need to see my kids. Please, I need to be better. I need to try again." Marcus Webb reunited with his children. He stopped long-haul trucking, started driving local routes, and he never drove Route 66 again. But here's the thing that haunts him. He's tried to find the woman, tried to research who she was, tried to find accident reports from 1952 on that stretch of highway. There are no records, no accidents, no deaths, no woman in white. Which means either the records were destroyed, or she was never human to begin with. She was always the road, always the test, always the thing that separates the damned from the saved. Route 66 was renamed Route 491 in 2003, but truck drivers still report seeing her, a woman in white, thumb out, smiling, standing on the side of the highway. Most people drive past now. The stories have spread. Don't pick up hitchhikers on Route 491. Don't stop for anyone. But some people still stop. Good people, kind people. People who can't leave someone stranded in the desert. And those people are given a choice. Show the woman something she's never seen before, or join the pile at the end of the road. Most people don't know what to show her. Most people end up at the pile. But Marcus found the answer. And maybe, just maybe, if you're ever driving Route 491 at night and you see a woman in white with her thumb out, maybe you'll remember what Marcus did. Maybe you'll find your own answer. Maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones who makes it home. Or maybe you'll join the thousands of others who didn't, who couldn't, who ended up at the end of the Devil's Highway, where the road finally collects its toll. Number 3. The Town That Doesn't Exist. Rachel and Tom Morrison were driving cross-country in July 2023, moving from Boston to Seattle. Married couple, both 32, excited for their new adventure. They'd planned the route carefully, the interstate all the way, simple and safe. On July 18th, somewhere in rural Montana, they hit construction. The interstate was closed. Detour signs pointed them onto a state highway. No problem. GPS would get them back on track. It was 4:47 p.m. when they left the interstate. The state highway was 2 lanes cutting through empty farmland. GPS said they'd be back on the interstate in 40 minutes. At 5:15 p.m., Rachel noticed something odd. "Have we passed that same barn before?" Tom looked. "I don't think so. All these farms look similar." But 5 minutes later, Rachel was sure. "Tom, that's the same barn. I remember that broken window. We're going in circles." Tom checked the GPS. It showed them on the highway making progress. But Rachel's instinct was right. They passed the barn again at 5:27 p.m. "Okay, this is weird," Tom admitted. "Let me try a different route." He turned onto a side road, followed it for 10 minutes. It curved back to the main highway, right past the same barn. They tried again. Different side road. Same result. Every road led back to the highway. Every highway led past that barn. At 6:03 p.m., frustrated and confused, they saw a town ahead. Finally. They'd stop, ask for directions, figure out what was happening. The town sign read, "Welcome to Millbrook, population 327. The town was small. Main street with maybe a dozen buildings, a diner, a gas station, a general store. Everything looked normal, if a bit old-fashioned. They pulled into the gas station. An attendant came out immediately. Old man, maybe 70, wearing a uniform from the 1970s. "Fill her up?" he asked with a friendly smile. "Yes, please," Tom said. "And can you tell us how to get back to I-90? The old man's smile didn't waver. "I-90? Can't say I know that road. You folks aren't from around here, are you?" "We're passing through," Rachel said. "We took a detour and got lost." "Well, you're not lost now," the old man said. "You're in Millbrook, nicest little town in Montana. Why don't you stay the night? There's a motel just down the street." "We really need to get back on the interstate," Tom said. The old man finished filling the tank. "That'll be $2.50. Tom laughed. $2.50? For a full tank? That can't be right." "That's the price," the old man said. His smile was unwavering, unnatural. "Gas is cheap in Millbrook. Everything's cheap here. Everything's nice here. You should stay." Tom paid with a credit card. The old man pulled out one of those old mechanical card machines, the kind that hasn't been used in decades. He slid the card, made an impression, handed it back. "You folks have a nice evening now," he said. "Welcome to Millbrook." Rachel and Tom drove through the town. Everything felt wrong. The cars parked on the street were old, 1970s models. The clothes in the store windows were dated. The people on the sidewalk moved strangely, stiffly, and they all smiled. Everyone they passed smiled at them. "This place is creepy," Rachel whispered. "Let's just get out of here." They drove to the edge of town. The road stretched ahead into farmland. They followed it. 5 minutes later, they were entering Millbrook again, from the other side. "What the hell?" Tom pulled over, checked the GPS. It showed them 50 miles outside of Millbrook, but they were clearly in Millbrook. The same main street, the same buildings, the same people, smiling. They tried again. Left from a different road. 10 minutes of driving. Back to Millbrook. Again, different road. Same result. "We're trapped," Rachel said. "This town won't let us leave." At 7:33 p.m., the sun started setting. The streetlights turned on. Old-fashioned streetlights. Yellow glow, and the town's residents started going inside. One by one. Smiling. Waving at Rachel and Tom. Disappearing into their homes. Within 10 minutes, the street was empty. Completely deserted. Just Rachel and Tom sitting in their car surrounded by empty buildings and yellow streetlights. "We should try again," Tom said, "while it's still light." They drove out of town, followed the highway, Drove for 20 minutes this time, making sure they were far away. But the road curved, and ahead they saw it. The welcome sign. Welcome to Millbrook, population 327. Except the number had changed. It now read, population 329. "Oh, God," Rachel whispered. "It's counting us." At 8:47 p.m., fully dark now, they pulled up to the motel. What choice did they have? They couldn't drive forever. They needed rest, needed to think. The motel looked frozen in time. 1970s decor, wood paneling. A clerk sat at the front desk. Young woman, maybe 25, wearing a dated dress, smiling. "Welcome to the Millbrook Motel," she said. "Will you be staying with us?" "Just one night," Tom said. "We're leaving first thing in the morning." The clerk's smile widened. "Of course, everyone says that. Room 7 is available. That'll be $8 for the night." "8?" Rachel asked. "Everything's affordable in Millbrook," the clerk said. "We take care of our residents." "We're not residents," Tom said firmly. "We're just passing through." "Of course," the clerk said. But her eyes said otherwise. Room 7 was exactly what they expected. Dated. Musty. A bed. A TV. A bathroom. Rachel tried her phone. No signal. Tom tried his. Nothing. They turned on the TV. Static on every channel except one. The one channel showed a man at a news desk, wearing a suit from the 1970s. He looked at the camera and said, "Welcome to Millbrook. Tonight's population, 329. We have 2 new residents, Rachel and Tom Morrison. Welcome home." Rachel grabbed the remote, changed the channel, static, changed again. The news was on every channel. The same man, the same message. Rachel and Tom Morrison. Welcome home. They tried to leave. Room door was unlocked. They ran to their car, started it, drove out of town. 20 minutes later. Welcome to Millbrook. Population 329. They tried all night. Every road, every direction. Always the same result. And each time they returned, the clerk waved from the motel window. The gas station attendant smiled from his pump. The townspeople watched from behind curtains. All of them smiling. All of them waiting. At 6:47 a.m., exhausted, Rachel had an idea. The detour sign. When we left the interstate. We followed the signs. What if we ignore them? What if we don't take the detour? "The interstate is closed," Tom said. "Maybe it's not. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe the detour itself is the trap." They drove back to where they'd first left the interstate. Sure enough, there were the construction signs, the detour markers, the road barriers. Tom drove past them, ignored the detour, drove straight through where the barriers indicated. The interstate was clear, no construction, no closure. It was all normal, like the detour had never existed. They drove onto the interstate, drove for 5 minutes, 10, 15, looking back constantly, expecting to somehow end up in Millbrook again. But they didn't. They were free, back on their route to Seattle. Rachel looked at the GPS. It showed them right where they should be, like the last 14 hours had never happened. Except Tom's gas tank was full, even though they'd driven all night. And in Rachel's wallet, she found a receipt from the Millbrook Motel. Room 7, $8, paid in full, and on the receipt, handwritten, "Come back soon, we'll be waiting. Population 327, hoping for 329. Rachel and Tom made it to Seattle, started their new life. But Tom still researches Millbrook, tries to find it on maps, in records, census data, any proof it exists. There's nothing. No town called Millbrook in Montana, no records of it ever existing. But here's what terrifies them. Other people have stories, online forums, Reddit posts. "I found a town that wouldn't let me leave. I got trapped in a loop in rural Montana." Has anyone heard of Millbrook? Dozens of stories, hundreds maybe, all describing the same town, the same gas station, the same motel, the same people, smiling and welcoming. And each post ends the same way. "I escaped, but I found a receipt in my wallet, and it says, 'Come back soon.' The town is out there, somewhere between the interstate and nowhere, waiting for people to take the wrong detour, waiting for new residents, population 327, always hoping for more. And if you're ever driving cross-country and you see a detour sign in rural Montana, if the sign points you toward a state highway you've never heard of, if you start passing the same barn over and over, don't stop in the town. Don't trust the smiling people. Don't pay $250 for gas. Because once the town counts you, once the population sign includes you, it never stops waiting for you to come home. And some roads don't lead forward. They lead sideways, into places that exist just for you, just to trap you, just to keep you smiling forever in a town that shouldn't exist. Number 2. County Road 12, The Follower. This story comes from Sarah Chen, who experienced it in December 2023 while driving home from her sister's house in rural Wisconsin. Sarah was 27, forensic accountant, lived alone in Madison. On December 9th, she'd visited her sister in a small town 2 hours north. The visit ran late. She started the drive home at 10:47 p.m. The route was simple. County Road 12 for 40 miles, then the highway. County Road 12 was a lonely stretch of road. 2 lanes cutting through forest, no towns, no houses, just trees and darkness. At 10:52 p.m., Sarah noticed headlights behind her. Way back, maybe half a mile. She didn't think much of it. Someone else heading south, but the headlights didn't get closer, didn't fall back. They stayed exactly half a mile behind her, perfectly maintaining the distance. Sarah sped up, 60 and a 55. The headlights sped up, still half a mile back. She slowed down, 45. The headlights slowed down, still the same distance. "Okay, that's weird," Sarah muttered. Maybe it was someone using her taillights to see in the dark, following her for safety. At 11:08 p.m., Sarah's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Heavy breathing. Then a voice. Male. Deep. "Keep driving, Sarah." She hung up immediately, heart pounding. How did they know her name? The headlights were still behind her. Same distance. Her phone rang again. Same unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "I said, keep driving. Don't stop. Don't slow down. And whatever you do, don't look in your rearview mirror." "Who is this? How do you know my name?" "I know lots of things. I know you left your sister's house at 10:47. I know you're on County Road 12. I know you're alone. And I know that if you look in your rearview mirror right now, you'll see something that will make you crash this car." Sarah's hands were shaking. "Are you following me?" "I'm trying to help you, Sarah. There's something on this road. It's been following you since you passed mile marker 23. But it's not in the car behind you. That car is mine. I'm following it, trying to keep it from getting closer to you. This is insane. I'm calling the police." "Don't. They won't get here in time. Just keep driving, maintain your speed, and do not look in your rearview mirror. If you see it, it will know you can see it, and then it will come for you." Sarah wanted to look. Every instinct screamed at her to check her mirror, but something in the man's voice stopped her. "What is it?" she whispered. "Something that hunts on County Road 12. Has been for decades. It looks like headlights at first. Normal car. But if you look at it directly, you see what it really is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't escape it." "This is crazy. I'm looking." "Don't." The man's voice was desperate. "Sarah, I'm serious. I've seen what happens to people who look. I've been trying to stop this thing for 3 years. My wife, she looked. She crashed her car. They never found her body. Just the car, wrapped around a tree, and scratches. Scratches all over the interior like she was trying to claw her way out while something dragged her through the windshield." Sarah's entire body was shaking now. The headlights behind her were still there, perfectly positioned. And now she noticed something else. The trees alongside the road were moving, swaying, but there was no wind. "How much farther to the highway?" the man asked. GPS says 22 miles. Okay, you can make it. Just keep driving. Don't look back, don't stop. When you hit the highway, it will leave you alone. It can't follow on to the highway. Too many people. Too much light. Why are you helping me? Because I couldn't save my wife. But maybe I can save you. At 11:23 p.m., Sarah's car started acting strange. The radio turned on by itself. Static. Then voices. Dozens of voices. Whispering. Calling her name. Sarah, Sarah. Look at us, Sarah. We want you to see us. See what we've become. She turned off the radio. It turned back on. Same voices. She ripped the faceplate off completely. The voices continued. They weren't coming from the radio. They were coming from outside the car. All around her. From the forest. From the road. From the darkness itself. It's trying to make you look, the man said on the phone. Fight it. Ignore it. Focus on the road ahead. The temperature in Sarah's car dropped. She could see her breath. The windows started fogging up. And in the fog, something was writing. From the outside. Fingers drawing in the condensation. Look at me. Turn around. See us. We've been waiting. Sarah started crying. I can't do this. I can't. Yes, you can, the man shouted. 18 miles. You're almost there. At 11:34 p.m., the headlights behind her changed. They got brighter. Much brighter. Blinding white light flooding Sarah's car. And in that light she could see shadows. Shapes. Moving across her dashboard. Across her steering wheel. Reaching for her. It's getting stronger, she screamed. Don't look back. Whatever you do, Sarah, do not look back. But Sarah's eyes moved on their own, against her will, toward the rearview mirror, toward the light, toward whatever was behind her. She saw it for a split second before she wrenched her eyes away, and in that split second, she understood why the man's voice was so desperate, why his wife had crashed, why people disappeared on this road. It wasn't a car. It had never been a car. It was something else, something huge, something with too many lights that looked like headlights but were really eyes. Dozens of eyes, and beneath the eyes, a mouth, opening, reaching forward toward her car. I looked, Sarah whispered. Oh, God, I looked. How much did you see? Just a second, maybe a second. I looked away. Okay, that's not too bad. It saw you see it, but you didn't see all of it. You might be okay, but it knows now. It knows you're aware, so it's going to try harder. 15 miles, Sarah. You can make it 15 miles. Sarah's steering wheel started moving by itself, gently pulling left, toward the trees, trying to make her crash. It's controlling my car. Sarah fought the wheel. I can't. Yes, you can. You're stronger than it. Don't let it. Sarah gripped the wheel with both hands, fought against the pull. The car swerved left and right, but she kept it on the road. Barely. The voices outside got louder, screaming now. Look at us! Look at us! We're so beautiful, so perfect. Just look. 10 miles, the man shouted. You're so close. At 11:47 p.m., the headlights, the thing, rushed forward. It was right behind her now, inches from her bumper. She could see the glow filling her entire car, could feel heat, smell something burning, something wrong. It's right behind me, Sarah screamed. I know, I can see it. 5 miles, just 5 more miles. Sarah's car started shaking. Something was grabbing it, lifting it. The back wheels left the ground. She was still accelerating, front wheels spinning, but the car was being picked up. Sarah, mile marker 45. I see it. You're at the highway. You made it. Sarah's car dropped back to the road with a crash. She swerved wildly, regained control, and ahead she saw it. The most beautiful sight of her life. The highway entrance, streetlights, other cars, civilization. She merged onto the highway, looked around, normal traffic, normal people, and when she finally looked in her rearview mirror, the road behind her was empty. No headlights, no thing, just darkness and trees. The man's voice on the phone, "You made it. You're safe now. It can't follow you here." "Who are you?" Sarah asked. "Someone who failed to save the person he loved. But I monitor County Road 12 every night. I try to help people. I can't stop it, but I can guide people through. You're the 7th person I've saved. My wife was number 1 that I couldn't save. I won't let it take anyone else if I can help it." "We should go to the police. Tell them." "Tell them what? That a monster disguised as headlights hunts on a county road? They'll think we're insane. I've tried. They've investigated. Never found anything. Because it only appears for lone drivers. At night, when there's no one else to witness." "What is it?" "I don't know. Something old. Something that's been on that road longer than the road has existed. Maybe it was here before the road, and when they paved over its territory it adapted, started looking like headlights, started hunting the new prey that traveled through its domain." Sarah pulled over at a rest stop, sat there for 20 minutes, shaking, crying, trying to process what had happened. When she finally looked at her phone, the unknown number was gone. No call history, no record of the conversation, like it had never happened. But on her rear bumper she found something. Deep scratches, 4 parallel gouges in the metal, like something had grabbed her car, tried to hold on, tried to pull her back. Sarah never drove County Road 12 again. She takes the long way around, adding an hour to any trip north. She doesn't care. She'll never drive that road at night again. But she still monitors online forums, still looks for posts about County Road 12, and when she sees someone asking, "Has anyone had a weird experience on County Road 12 in Wisconsin?" she responds, warns them, tells them what to do if they're being followed. Because the thing is still there, still hunting, still following lone drivers with its headlights that aren't headlights. And the man, the mysterious caller, is still there too, still monitoring, still trying to save people, still unable to save the one person he loved. If you ever drive County Road 12 at night and you notice headlights behind you that maintain the exact same distance no matter what you do, and your phone rings from an unknown number, answer it. Listen to the voice. Follow the instructions. Don't look in your rearview mirror. Don't stop. Don't slow down. And pray you make it to the highway before it gets tired of following and decides to take you anyway. Because some roads are hunted. Some roads have things living on them that existed before cars, before highways, before humanity. And those things are hungry. Always hungry. Always waiting for the next lone driver who doesn't know the rules. Sarah knows the rules now. She learned them the hard way. The question is, will you? Number 1. The Highway That Remembers. This is the most disturbing road story we've ever investigated. Because this isn't about getting lost. This isn't about being followed. This is about a road that won't let you forget. Elena Rodriguez was driving home from her mother's funeral in March 2024. 43 years old, high school teacher, she'd made this drive from Phoenix to Albuquerque dozens of times over the years. 6 hours, Interstate 40, simple and familiar. But this time was different. This time, she was alone, completely alone. Her mother was gone. Her father had died years ago. She had no siblings, no children, no spouse. She was driving home to an empty house, to an empty life, with nothing but memories. At 3:17 p.m., somewhere between Holbrook and Gallup, Elena started crying. Not just tears, deep sobbing, grief that she'd been holding in for days. She pulled over at a rest stop, sat in her car and cried until she had nothing left. When she finally composed herself and pulled back onto the highway, something was different. The road looked the same interstate, same mile markers, but there was something wrong with the other cars. They looked old. Not classic cars, just slightly dated, like cars from 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Elena thought maybe she was just emotionally exhausted, seeing things wrong. She kept driving. At 4:33 p.m., she passed a green sedan. The driver was a woman, and as Elena passed, the woman turned to look at her. Elena's heart stopped. It was her mother, 10 years younger, exactly as she'd looked 10 years ago. Elena slammed on her brakes, looked in her rearview mirror. The green sedan was gone. No car anywhere behind her. "I'm losing it," Elena whispered. "I'm having a breakdown." She kept driving, focused on the road, tried not to look at other cars. At 5:47 p.m., she passed a minivan, a family inside, and in the back seat she saw a child, a little girl, looking out the window, looking directly at Elena. The little girl was Elena, 8 years old, exactly as she'd looked in her childhood photos. Elena's hands were shaking. She pulled over again, got out of the car, walked around, tried to clear her head. When she got back in, her GPS was acting strange. The route looked normal, but the arrival time was wrong. It said she'd arrive home at 7:17 p.m., but that wasn't right. At her current pace, she wouldn't arrive until 9 p.m., unless the GPS was accounting for something Elena didn't understand. Something about this road. Something about where, or when, she was really going. At 6:52 p.m., Elena passed a truck. The driver was a man in his 50s. He looked exactly like her father. Same face, same glasses, same slight smile. He waved at her. Friendly wave. Dad wave. Elena started sobbing again. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But then she noticed something else. The mile markers were going backward. She was passing mile marker 285. But she'd passed 285 20 miles ago. She should be at mile marker 265 now. The highway was looping, taking her backward, taking her somewhere she'd already been. At 7:17 p.m., exactly when the GPS had predicted, Elena saw her exit. The Albuquerque exit. But something was wrong. The exit sign looked newer, cleaner, and the businesses visible from the exit were different. That gas station hadn't looked like that in years. They'd renovated it ages ago. Elena took the exit anyway, followed the familiar streets toward her house. But the streets were different too. Trees that had been cut down were standing again. A store that had closed was open. Everything looked like it had 10 years ago. Elena's neighborhood appeared. But the houses were different. Colors that had changed were back to old colors. Cars that had been sold were in driveways again. And then she saw her house, her driveway, her mailbox. And sitting on the porch, waiting for her, was her mother. Alive, healthy, smiling. Elena stopped the car in the middle of the street. Just stopped. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. Her mother stood up, walked toward the car, opened the driver's side door. "Elena, honey, you're late. I was worried about you. How was the drive?" "Mom!" Elena's voice was barely a whisper. You're dead. I just came from your funeral." Her mother's smile didn't waver. "Funeral? What are you talking about? I'm fine. Come inside. Dinner's ready." Elena looked around. The sun was setting. The neighborhood was peaceful, normal, exactly as it had been a decade ago when her mother was still healthy, before the cancer, before the decline, before the end. "This isn't real," Elena said. "This is grief. I'm hallucinating." "Does it matter?" her mother asked, gently, kindly. "You're home. You're not alone. Isn't this better than what you're going back to? An empty house? An empty life? No one waiting for you?" Elena's tears came again. "I want this to be real so badly." "Then let it be real. The highway brought you here. The highway gave you this gift. A second chance. A chance to live in a time when you weren't alone. When the people you loved were still here. All you have to do is accept it. Park your car, come inside, stay." Elena looked back down the street. The way she'd come. The way back to the highway. Back to her real life. Her empty, lonely, grief-filled life. Then she looked at her mother. Alive. Waiting. Offering her a life where loss didn't exist. where the people she loved never died. "What happens if I stay?" Elena asked. "You live here, in this time, in this place, with me, with everyone you've lost. The highway found your grief, your loneliness, and it offered you an escape, a road back to when things were better. But it's not real. It's as real as you make it. Time is a road, Elena, and roads can loop, can go backward. The highway knows this. The highway remembers every moment, every person, every version of the world that ever existed on its surface. And sometimes, for people who are truly alone, truly lost, the highway offers them a choice: move forward into emptiness, or come back to when you weren't alone." Elena sat there, engine running, stuck between two worlds, two times, two lives, and she had to choose. In the real world, our world, Elena Rodriguez never arrived home that night. Her car was found 3 days later, parked at a rest stop on I-40. Empty, keys in the ignition, engine cold, her luggage still in the trunk, her phone on the passenger seat with 2% battery remaining. The last thing on her phone was GPS navigation. The route showed her at mile marker 285, but her car was found at mile marker 265, 20 miles short of where the GPS claimed she'd been. Search parties found nothing, no trace, no evidence. Elena had simply vanished. But here's what makes investigators pause. Elena's house in Albuquerque. When police searched it, they found something odd: a voicemail on her home phone, left at 7:17 p.m. on the day she disappeared. From an unknown number. The voicemail was Elena's voice, happy, content. "Hi, this is Elena. I'm not available right now. I'm having dinner with family. I'll call you back later. Don't worry about me. I'm home. I'm finally home." The voicemail shouldn't exist. Elena's home phone number had been disconnected for 2 years. She only used a cell phone. But somehow, that message was left, on a line that didn't exist. At exactly the time GPS said she'd arrived home, in a version of home that doesn't exist anymore, if it ever did. Some investigators think Elena had a breakdown, wandered into the desert, died of exposure. Her body just hasn't been found yet. But others, the ones who've worked cases like this before, they know better. They know about the highway, about the roads that loop, about the exits that lead to places that shouldn't exist. And they know that sometimes people who are too alone, too grief-stricken, too lost. Sometimes those people are offered a choice by something older than asphalt and concrete, something that lives in the roads, something that remembers every version of the world that ever rolled across its surface. And if you're lonely enough, lost enough, grieving enough, you might see that exit, the one that leads home, not to your house, but to home, the real home, the home where the people you love are still waiting. The exit will look right, feel right. Your GPS will confirm it, and you'll have to choose. Move forward into a life of loss and loneliness. Or take the exit. Go back. Live in a world where those you loved never left. Most people don't see the exit. Most people aren't offered the choice, but Elena saw it, and she chose. The question is, what would you choose? If you're driving alone one night, grieving, lost, with nothing to go home to, and you see an exit you don't remember, an exit that leads to a version of your life where you weren't alone, would you take it? Elena did. And wherever she is now, whatever version of time she's living in, she's not alone anymore. The highway saw to that. The highway remembered. And the highway offered her a gift. Some people call it mercy. Others call it a trap. But when you're that alone, that lost, that broken by grief, does it really matter which it is? Elena is home now. Finally home. And that's all that matters to her. The rest of us are still driving, still moving forward on roads that only go one direction, still heading toward futures we can't avoid, still leaving behind pasts we can never return to. But the highway? The highway remembers. And sometimes, if you're lost enough, it offers you a way back. 5 roads, 5 drivers, 5 journeys that became something more than travel. The loop that creates copies of yourself. The hitchhiker who tests your humanity. The town that traps you in the wrong time. The follower with headlights that aren't headlights. And the highway that remembers every version of home you've ever lost. Pause. We think roads are simple. They take us from point A to point B. We think we control where we're going. But sometimes the road has other plans. Sometimes the road is alive, watching, waiting, offering us choices we never expected to make. This has been Case Razo 6 of the Whisper Files. The case is now closed. But those roads are still out there, still waiting, still offering impossible journeys to lost drivers who don't know what they're getting into. So tonight, when you're driving home, pay attention. Watch for the signs. Notice if exits look different. Feel if the road is taking you somewhere you didn't plan to go. Because roads have memory. Roads have purpose. And roads have been here longer than any of us can imagine. They know where we're going, even when we don't. Subscribe for more cases. Drive safely tonight. And if you see an exit that doesn't make sense, a hitchhiker in white, or headlights that follow too perfectly, maybe it's time to find a different route. Until next time, this is the Whisper Files. Stay safe, stay alert, and remember, not all roads lead home. Some lead somewhere else entirely.